Roger that.
I'm gonna hit record because I want to look this up. Where is my... Oh, I don't have Chrome open. That's weird. Normally I spend like the whole morning scrambling, get all my videos together before I start recording. And now that current events are not over, but I'm not preoccupied by them anymore, it's kind of like, I'm actually on top of my workload now. This feels really strange. I still have a stupid amount to do, but I no longer feel like I am just scrambling to cup water in my hands and like try and make it work. Okay. So to answer... Scotland. No, actually, so Scotland is not as small as I think you're giving it credit for. So I've lived in one state that is smaller than Scotland.
Which one?
Massachusetts. Massachusetts is fairly small. It's just very heavily settled in comparison to most of the rest of the U.S.
Yeah, that's the one with Boston in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably one of the only states you hear about in your education system, because I'm sure
true.
It gets brought up at least a couple of times. It's like, yep, and that's where the U.S. left. The Tea Party was what happened in Massachusetts.
I didn't learn about that. Like I was
really?
No, I genuinely
that is like singularly one of the most touted events in American history for like American individualism and rebellion.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think all Europeans give Americans, quite a hard time over the fact that, not many Americans know about European countries. But like, before I started like actively trying to memorize American states, I don't think I could name more than like 10. So it's like, it's just as bad reciprocally, so to speak.
In the U.S., we definitely learn a lot about like European history up until the colonists split off, go to the U.S., and after that point, it's just like, what's a Europe? And then we get back to it for like World War II for a bit, but it's kind of like we leave and things seem kind of hunky-dory, but still like a little bit, there's still kings and queens and stuff. So like, okay, sure, this kind of makes sense. And then you read about like World War I, and it's talking about all these tensions and these issues, and it's like, wait, when did this happen? And to my knowledge, no education system I've ever been through has ever even tried to get deep into, why was Germany so ready to go to war? What exactly led to the assassination of Gavrilo Princip and so on and so forth? And that's always been, I'm not going to say a sore spot, but just kind of like this weird blank space in the education system that it's like, but we really should kind of talk about the whys. And everyone in charge is like, nah.
There's been some mod updates. All right.
Yes.
That's cool. All right. Back in 20 minutes.
Unfortunate. No. Well, it's okay. I'm just going to work on my power network.
It's all good. Yeah, no, the whole First World War thing is... it's kind of crazy, actually. I've been getting into the First World War, the Second World War recently, and the whole thing is crazy. What I find insane is that if we think about, I don't know, the relative stability of the times that we live in now, and then we think about what it was like 60, 70, 80 years ago, the world was at war, and we, we're not anymore. It's just, I just can't get over that. Like, what a different world it must have been.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think about that, like, 5-10. Well, I mean, even like 5-10 years ago, I would say things were, I'm not going to say objectively worse, but there was definitely that kind of feeling of like, there's more tensions now. Or maybe there aren't. I think part of it is awareness raises the older you get, and so like the further you get from like a major historical event, the less connected you feel to it. But yeah, looking back to 1920s, Great Depression, it's like, yeah, shit, things were pretty bad. People were living in tents. How was the Great Depression in Scotland? I don't know if it was as much of an issue.
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know how it affected Scotland, to be honest. I see. That's another interesting thing. So, the American 1910s, 1920s, from like 1900 after that. It's like the British Empire peaked as sort of a thing in like the 1860s, and so ever since that point, it was just a sort of relative decline in British power and whatnot. So it's all got to be measured in the context of. Also, I can't connect. Are you on multiplayer?
It said yeah. It said you were dropping from the game, so I paused in hopes that you would catch up, and it didn't work.
Oh, hold up. Server is not responding.
Yeah, it says Orbital Potato is being dropped from the game.
Huh.
Didn't we have this issue last time, and all you needed to do was restart your computer?
I can give it a shot. I can sure as heck try.
I'm
all right.
Sorry.
BRB.
Let's see if you can get back in. I hope so. Otherwise, today is going to be kind of weird.
Let's put some money on it. How much do you reckon?
Oof. Million thonks.
A million thonks.
I mean, I have no limitations in that regard.
I tell you what, I think. Well, I say we very, very lightly. I of course do not have anywhere near the amount of EMC that you do, but I think we're gonna be eclipsed in terms of EMC because there are some cheaters in the midst.
I saw Vlad was cheating, and then I saw Widzy was super cheating, and I was just like, I mean, I can't necessarily blame them for this, but at the same time, I absolutely can.
I can. I told Vlad about it, and Vlad said, "Oh, nobody told me. Nobody told me." And I'm pretty sure it's all in the logs. It's all in the this was discussed in the Wholesome Craft chat, and here we are. So I told Vlad in person when he was watching my stream. I told him it was strictly prohibited, and then the other thing is that I gave Widzy all of the materials that he needed in order to create.
Oh, you created this.
I gave him like I don't know, like 40 diamond blocks or something, just as like a bit of a meme, and he clearly turned that into a lot more. So, yeah.
I can't blame Vlad because
he's just using it to build glass. He's just using it to make glass.
Using it to build glass, and he is like a dad. Like,
true.
I'll give a lot of a pass. To somebody that is busy, I guess.
But you know what this calls for? This calls for a collaboration to fight back against the oppressive EMC cheaters.
I feel like we need to rephrase this a little bit. I had to go through an entire process to earn my ludicrous amount of EMC. I have a giant plant factory. I think we need to farm the EMC mafiosos that instill harsh standards on how EMC is produced on the Wholesome Craft server, and we leave. Can you get like cow heads as an item?
Yes, you can. I think I've got llama heads. Because
I think we go in and I will absolutely just hop on at some point when you are streaming Wholesome Craft, and we can work on this. But I think we take we take their illicit energy converters, and then we leave them a cow head. And if it pops up again, we just do the same thing.
Yeah, and we leave them a nice threatening note as well to let them know that the the Council for EMC Moderation or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a snappy name that sounds legit.
EMC totalers.
EMC totalers.
Yeah. Play on teetotalers.
That sounds like a Demolition Derby sort of style thing.
That is a good point.
I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I mean, I'm keen. Right. I think I'm in. By the way, I'm in. We're good.
Yay.
I think I was working on power. That's what I was.
Yeah, we both were. We're making dueling generators.
Ooh. You are using Tiberium. I am using nuclear.
You were starting nuclear, yeah, which is probably going to take you a fair bit longer. I think I'm almost done.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that this is going to be a very efficient way for us to generate power. I think Tiberium power plants are far superior, by the way.
They are cheatsy.
Yeah, they're very
so much
good.
easier. It's just
200?
Loads of resources in. All right, done.
It's very good. It's very, very good. It's over good, I think. Can we get better steam engines? Yes, we can. All right.
Yep.
Okay, we got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of research to get through, which is very exciting. Because we've got pretty much every type of tech card, I think. I believe.
I think so. I think we're still missing one of them. Whatever the one that we get from space is.
Space, yeah, the one that gives you fish, or whatever.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the one. That is the one. Man, it feels good to be back at Factorio, honestly.
Yeah, I feel bad that our schedules had not aligned up until this point.
Nothing to feel bad about. It's life, you know?
Yeah. To some degree, I just kind of given up on being properly organized this fall. I was just like, I'll get there at some point. And then it won't be so bad. But until then,
yeah,
it's just, I've accepted that this will never...
What up?
I just realized I was burning all of my excess Tiberium sludge like a fool. It's fine. Oh, wait, no. That's the one I want to burn. I was not a fool. I am a fool now. Okay, but yeah, I've just totally given up on, like, any sense of organization. I was talking to Rito about this, and, like, yeah, just doing multiplayer stuff has largely kept us sane, but thrown our schedules into the biggest of whack, and it's been difficult to fit everything in that we want to fit in. Like, to some degree, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of fine with it. It's like, if it doesn't work out this week, well, there's always next week.
It's one of those things, right? It's, I feel like life goes through phases of being semi-organized and then complete chaos. Then back to, like, semi-organized and then complete chaos. But I think I've just come to terms with the fact that life is never going to be organized because there's just too many, like, external factors that you can't control. You know. And so, this is what life's going to be like forever.
Yep.
So there we go.
Oh, I see what's going on there.
Huh. Okay, I'm doing some research for steam turbines because I don't know much about nuclear power, but I think steam turbines are used in the nuclear power process. So I'm gonna throw that in there.
Feel free to get really deep in that. I think I'm in a good spot to take over whatever we need industry-wise today.
I'm just trying to think about what there actually is to do. Like, in terms of... We got rare earth mineral metals, didn't we? That was something that we did last time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's worth... There's a couple of applications that use that I can't remember. But... I wonder if it's worth exploring what we can do with rare earth metals.
Yeah. I think it was a bit of a bottleneck because we specifically needed it for science, and just because we couldn't get past that.
Yeah.
That was the only limitation, but I could be very wrong on this one.
Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest. Also, turns out that steam turbines are such a basic technology that we no longer have an appropriate number of labs to do all the research, so I'm just going to zone a couple more, if that's all right. Go, excellent, and some stack inserters. What do you know? All right. So yeah, I don't know. We don't have a massive project to work on, but
that's kind of freeing in its own way.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you somebody who likes to look forward to things, or are you much more like, chillaxed?
I think it depends. I think the older I get, the more I just kind of let things come.
Yeah.
That I've had enough, honestly, even just minor disappointments over the course of, the last, I'm going to say 25 years. Anything before that, hell if I even remember.
Yeah.
But, like, what's it going to... Well, here's the easiest one. You played Spore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was my most anticipated game of all time.
Okay.
Came out on my birthday. I was so stoked. I took the day off school and everything.
Okay.
And yeah, it was Spore. I'm pretty sure you kind of know what I mean by that one, but like, I think after kind of that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to look forward to games anymore. If it comes out, awesome. If it comes out terrible, okay. And that has been a healthier mindset for me, at least.
I haven't thought about Spore in years, honestly. I think I've only played it like once. I can't even remember if I've completed it.
So the only reason why I was capable of completing Spore was through cheats. It is legitimately one of the most time-consuming games I have ever played to beat. And even then, you don't really beat it. You know how in No Man's Sky, you have just millions of planets out there, and just no human being will ever be able to visit any of them because it's just numerically impossible?
Yeah.
Spore did a lot of the things that No Man's Sky did well before No Man's Sky ever came out. And so, once you hit the space stage of Spore, the game just opens up in a way that you are flying around in the ship visiting pre-generated planets made out of effectively the same parts that you've been experiencing throughout the entire game. Which, seems good on paper, but in execution, like, if you know anything about procedural generation, you realize that games just aren't deep enough for that, for the most part. Like, you can't make that actually have substantive amounts of quality. That it'll just end up feeling shallow and kind of just bad. And so you just fly from planet to planet doing kind of nothing, fighting this like evil group that's standing in your way, and the end point is go to the center of the universe.
The universe. Yeah, I remember that much. Yeah.
There's something waiting for you there. And so I did. And they give you a stick that lets you terraform like a world to be perfect, maybe like a couple of times, and then it runs out, and I don't know if you can get any more. But I got it, and
you were sold.
I sat
your soul was destroyed in the process.
Yeah. It was just like, wait a second. That's it? I did all that work to get a stick? And it was like, you can look up the cutscene, and maybe they changed it with like an update or a DLC. I know they added a little bit with Galactic Adventures, but I don't think they added an ending, like a proper, better ending than that. And so, like, me having just spent an insane amount of time and, you know, just heavily cheated a bunch to get to this point, I was just sitting there being like, this was legitimately not worth it. Why did I do any of this? I'm not going to say it exactly broke me, but it was definitely this, like, crisis of, that was not worth my time.
I had no idea that you had such a negative experience with Spore.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be so cool. The cell stage looked amazing. The creature stage seemed really promising, and then after that, I didn't really care. And unfortunately, the first stage played like a Flash game. The second stage played like a really bad game, and then everything after that was just different flavors of bad RTS that just didn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
I think you can also talk to some of the other Wholesomeverse members who have had similar experiences, namely Alexa. Alexa and I have virtually the same birthday, which is September 10th. He's September 11th, but...
I'm the same school? What is this? You guys,
yeah,
you guys are the same
I don't
people.
know how that happened. I honestly don't. It's a little wild, but...
Just make... Okay, humor me. Go check, like, your parents and your grandparents and make sure that they're not the same people. Just to be on the safe side.
I'm pretty sure. I would absolutely know if we were actually related. Namely because he lives in Ohio. Of my entire extended family, none of them have left Minnesota.
Are they close? Are they close by each other, the states?
No, they're all... So, Minnesota's a fairly big state. It's, honestly, a lot of people joke that it's practically Canada, and to some degree I'd agree. But there's a bit of a problem... Oh, wait, no, one of them moved to Alaska, which is even more Canada. Sort of. Canada, but with more guns.
Canada extra, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, most of them just never really escaped, because not a whole lot of education opportunities if you're out in the middle of the, out in the middle of the boonies, and so it's super weird going back, because everybody knows everything that has happened to each other, and everybody thinks I'm still, like, 20, because they haven't seen me in forever, and it's actually kind of funny.
The curse of extended family. That's, I feel you on that one. I canceled a bunch of your research, by the way, I think. Because
that's fine. I don't remember what I was researching anyway.
I also don't think that we have Tiberium inputs into these basic labs.
Oh, yeah, I must have disconnected that a long time ago and just never reset it.
Let me see if I can figure it out. I'll see if I can find where your Tiberium...
I don't think I'm producing it anymore, so, like, don't bother. I'll fix it.
Oh, you ditched them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you keep working on your nuclear power.
Okay, all right. You got it, boss. I'm working on it. Okay. Be prepared for disappointment. Much like Spore,
fine.
you're gonna be very disappointed in the output of nuclear power.
I've already finished my Tiberian thing, so I can handle a lot of the, like, working on actual base and important things.
Okay.
And you can play with big dangerous toys.
I like playing with big dangerous toys. I don't know. There's something about nuclear power. I've been playing around with it in Minecraft, and it's
fun. I want to get into that, but I think EMC has ruined me a little bit. I love the idea of it. I wish I needed things again in the game, but I've pretty much, like, got peak everything, so now it's just like, I want to make a nuclear reactor, because why?
So, here's the thing. You need a pretty substantial amount of resources to construct a nuclear reactor. Like, a lot more than I was originally anticipating. Like, it's taken me... I don't know. It took me maybe 12 hours... No, maybe more than that, actually. Maybe like 16 or 20 hours in order to assemble all of the requisite parts in order to make it work. Like, it is insanely complex. Like, much more so than I expected.
Okay.
It's a big commitment, actually. Like, yeah. I was pretty wealthy going into it, to be honest, so.
Yeah. I think I would care more about it, if the EMC was balanced the same way that it is in Stone Block. I don't know if you've checked that out ever, but I started playing Stone Block with my brother, and even the basic transmutation table requires, like, ridiculously high-tier resources, so you can't even get into EMC until the end game. And I'm not gonna say this ever, because, like, it doesn't actually matter too much, but I think we got spoiled maybe a little bit too much by getting access to EMC so early on.
So here's the thing about EMC. I think the way to balance it is you make every transaction lose 10 or 20% of its value. I think straight up by just doing that, you instantly counter everything. So for example, like your method of acquiring EMC and my method of acquiring EMC emeralds, right? Is that if you're losing like 20% every time you reformulate or use the transmutation table, then you lose a lot of the value in the process, which means that you can still, you know, allocate your resources to it, but at the same time,
it's going to be costlier. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's the way to do it in my mind anyway.
I think in my head, it almost would be better if it just had like a RF to EMC conversion ratio, but the costs for it were ridiculous. So, like, you can get very small amounts by just running a basic coal generator, which is kind of handy. Or you can make a giant nuclear reactor, and that gets you tons. Because at that point, you might as well just have everything because you've done all this work. And that's kind of where I'm at with Wholesome Craft. It's like, well, I've earned this. And so the feeling of, like, going back to make the giant power plant is like, yeah, but it doesn't really fit any of my needs because I have zero... Like, what are you even going to use the power for with the nuclear power generator?
So the thing is, okay, just I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's not just a nuclear reactor. It's a nuclear reactor, a steam turbine, a boiler, and a battery as well. So it's actually like 4 components, which is why it's taken me such a long time to do. So it's really quite. And then also all of the requirements to produce the nuclear fuel as well, because you need to produce, like, I don't know, tritium and deuterium or whatever in order to make it work. My original goal was to plonk down a whole bunch of digital miners and a whole bunch of, like, really power intensive things at maximum speed and just absolutely mine everything out. But the point of doing that was to acquire resources. But over the course of building the reactor, I've had to build up a whole bunch of EMC farms in order to get the resources required to build the reactor. So now I have all of the resources anyway, so now I'm kind of at a little bit of a loss, to be honest with you, about what I'll actually do. So I don't know is the answer to that.
Fair enough. At this point, I've mostly just been dedicating my resources to lightly pranking people, or in Rito's case, heavily pranking him, but he doesn't know that yet, so...
It was marvelous. It was absolutely marvelous to behold.
I was starting to do it, and I had a moment of just like, man, should I be doing this?
Yes.
And then I thought, yeah, that's silly. I'm doing it.
Yes, you should be doing this. This is absolutely the right thing to do. Yeah, so I don't know. There are different ways of converting power into resource. Like, you know, one way that I'm thinking about implementing in a major way is there's like an ice chiller you can use to create ice by using electricity as an input, and it gives you ice as an output, and ice is worth 1 EMC, and then you can filter that back in. So maybe a massive bank of ice chillers in order to make a crazy system. But that's super inefficient, and I bet there are more efficient ways than that, if that makes sense.
Because, yeah, one problem with the diamonds is it's very difficult to scale up. You effectively have to wreck the server to properly scale it up to be worthwhile.
The farms.
I like it how Factorio is just right now turned into, hey, Wholesome Craft.
It's great. It's really good fun. It's been amazing.
Whenever we do a season 2, I would like to try and organize some kind of equivalent where we're all on for like 1 day every 2 weeks. Because I really liked that first session where we all hanging out and bantering. And losing that has definitely been, I'm not going to say a little bit of a letdown, but it was something I really enjoyed. And we haven't really gotten that back.
I'm with you. When I did the Wholesome Boys Build a Brewery series with Raps, Rito, and Alexa, I mean, that was, like, in my mind, like, the high point of, like, you know, creating content. Because it was, like, it's great fun. You know, it's great fun. You just have a little bit of banter, and you're able to sort of progress the world and the lore and all of that stuff, which is kind of great. But, yeah, it's certainly the more the merrier.
I think it's just harder this year because Rito is effectively a digital hobo living out of his dad's office. Rhapsody, YouTube has decided to dunk on him in the hardest possible way.
Yeah.
And Alexa became a corporate stooge. So
yeah, he sold out. He sold out.
Can't blame him.
We don't. No. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can blame him. I don't like him anymore. Just joking. Just joking. But yeah, no, it's a shame. He's a busy boy now. Unfortunately. There we go. Yeah, but the good news about Minecraft and about modding and whatnot is that I believe, like, next year there's going to be a fairly big uptick in modding or something because there's some big update being released.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, though, to be honest.
I will look forward to it, but I will also just gladly just wait long periods of time. Normally I'm so, like, overwhelmed by games that it's like, oh man, maybe a new Minecraft playthrough would be kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, here's, like, every game forever. Go play them instead. Are you with a network on YouTube or nah?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think I was with a network, like, in the early days, just because I thought it was something
yeah, because you kind of needed to be.
Well, you see, even then, it's like, I don't even think I did it out of a sense of having to do it. I think I just did it because I thought it was what people did.
Yeah.
You know? More than anything.
Yeah. No,
not really.
That's
I'm not
entirely fair.
What about you? Are you with a network?
Yeah, I am in a network, and I'm still not entirely sure if it's immediately that useful. Having that safety net is nice. Because I take Raps' situation. I've had a couple of things like that in the past, and having a network was at least somewhat easy, especially back before I had a partner manager that I could just be like, help. And so having somebody that I can be like, hey, shit's broken, please help. And actually having, like, a human on the other end to be like, yeah, let's actually help you with this. I'm also really curious if the issue that's hitting Raps could hit me if I was with a network. Probably. They'd probably drop me like a sack of potatoes if I was risky.
Yeah, Raps is... it's crazy. It's happening elsewhere as well. Like, I know there's a couple of other communities that I follow, and it seems to be happening pretty much everywhere, to be honest, from what I've noticed. And that sucks pretty hard.
Yep.
It's really, really bad, and I think it's going to end up impacting everyone, to be honest.
I at least feel like they're maybe going to fix this situation eventually. It just sounds like YouTube is just dumb and doesn't want to admit that they have, like, this critical bug because they really do not want Adpocalypse Round 2, where every single creator under the sun is screaming.
I agree, actually. I think they will fix it. I think they will fix it. It's just not great that it has to take people losing their income in order to get them to fix it.
Effectively their livelihood, yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's it. And that sucks. That sucks pretty hard. That sucks pretty hard. Oh boy. All right. So what are you working on? Talk me through your grand strategy.
I just let's see. Give me a second. Passive provider chest. I just made a an alchemy setup for speed module 3s.
Okay.
So we can now request speed module 3s and productivity module 3s, and I'm slowly expanding the speed at which this setup runs. Seeing as we were just very proactive about the amount of power that we are producing, I figured I'd get this. I figured I'd utilize some of it. I've already upticked our power usage by about 200, which is a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah. I mean, honestly, the more you can increase our power usage by, the better, because the more power you use, the greater my sense of self-worth grows. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is actually worthwhile. So, keep going. Go. Yeah, okay. This is very, very cool. Very, very cool. Here's something fun that I did this week. So, I finished a playthrough of the Outer Worlds.
Hey, that is a fantastic game.
It's a really good game.
I've never finished it. I'd like to, but I always get like halfway through any of those games, and I think I get kind of... I'm not going to say slow. I think just the sameness of it, the length lasts longer than the novelty, and that drives me a bit nuts. Anyway, you continue.
Yeah. No, I was exactly the same, is that I started doing it, and I realized when I finished, it's like, the first half was really good, because I was sort of getting into the whole world. And then around about the halfway point, I found myself, like, looking on wiki pages to find out how to get the outcome that I wanted for, like, certain character interactions. And then I finished the game, and then I realized that the last 25% of the game, I can't even remember, because it was just me doing things in order to make sure that I didn't miss a certain encounter, or I didn't miss, like, a story in the world. And it kind of, like, soured the whole experience, because I just don't think that I'm built to like those types of games, because I just don't... I don't want to miss anything, but at the same time, it's just... There's so much. So much.
The time and the effort and the... I mean, the interest, it's just... It's hard to keep up with a game for that long and, like, maintain that level of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really, really is.
I think I still liked it. It was a good... I wouldn't say it was a good idea. It was a decent execution of the Fallout style. I think what killed it for me was just that because it was so organized in, like, you know, you go to the new planet, here's a couple of new quests, here's some things to kind of continue what you were doing. Here's maybe a couple new guns, but mostly the recolors of the guns. I think that's what was getting to me, that there was this giant world to explore, and so much of it was just kind of empty. It's like, hey, you found a new treasure chest. It has the same gun that you already have and are currently using. And it's like, oh. The
guns were pretty garbage, to be honest. Actually, the variation was, after the second planet you go to, basically the same.
Yeah, and that killed it a little bit for me, because it's just like, where's the loot? I want to get some sweet loot. And they had, like, the special guns. We'd always get them super late, and so it's like, here's a crazy special gun with cool powers. Yeah, but it does, like, 50% of the damage.
It does nothing. It does absolutely diddly squat. It's like, I kept them on my person for posterity, and it just weighed me down. It just weighed me down. Like, the other crazy thing that I thought was that, like, I was, you know, gallivanting across the galaxy, you know, trying to, you know, build friendships, make sure that everyone liked each other on every planet that I went to. But no matter where I went, I looted those people relentlessly. Like, there was nothing left on those planets after I'd been over them. Like, you know, chests of friends, chests of enemies, yoink. That's all mine. And nobody cared, which I found kind of crazy. nobody realized that this. I mean, I ended the game with like 100,000 in currency. I basically spent nothing like over the entirety of the game. I don't need to. So, yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game, but like, yeah, I don't think I'm built for those games.
I'm just hoping with with backing from Microsoft, they can actually have more of a, I'm not going to say a presence, but they can actually build it as big as I think they wanted to build it.
Mm-hmm. I think it was pretty big.
Well, it was big. It was empty. Like, there was size, but it didn't have the oomph to it. I have the same problem with like Assassin's Creed games. Where I really want to get into them, but you just load it up, you maybe get past a couple of intro quests, everything is bright and shiny, and then you look at like the laundry list of things that you might have to do, and there's just kind of that crisis of faith moment where you look at it and you're like, hold up, how?
Yeah, I'm doing work for the sake of doing work. And yeah. I know that the whole point of the game is about, you know, the whole point of the game is about the evils of, well, the evils of capitalism and the evils of socialism and communism and whatnot, and that's all built in there to the game. But like everything was so samey, like and I know that's the point. Everything was carbon cut out and whatnot, but like the environments were very, very samey. And
I loved the idea of them, and like whenever you landed on a planet, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of neat looking, and then the mystique would wear off, you know, minutes later because you've seen everything that it already has to show. Yeah. I found myself like leveling up and then just like hoarding the leveling points until I needed them for something specific. And I know that there's no right way to play a game or a wrong way to play a game, but like it felt like it was the wrong thing to be doing. Have you played Disco Elysium?
So everyone keeps talking about how Rhapsody did a fantastic playthrough and was like a really sort of seminal series on his channel. I watched like a bit of it because I know that in that game there are like quests and storylines that if you exhaust all of the chat options, then you will be negatively impacted, which I thought was quite unique. But I haven't. But I've heard amazing things about it. Everyone says it's amazing.
I had a ton of fun with that one because it really did kind of make you consider like what options you were picking, but it didn't just feel like I need level 100 lockpicking to get into this. Like every problem had 1,000 solutions, and that your character truly was just kind of this different creature, playthrough to playthrough. So like I'm sure what Rhapsody did was completely different from mine. I built my entire guy around the concept of there's a perk that you can get that makes it so whenever you think about something, being like, hey, what is like the invasion of so and so, and your character like has a thought, being like, oh, it was this and this, and you actually will straight up just like make money every time you have that thought. No idea where the money comes from, but I just loved the idea of that, and so I focused on that as hard as I could, so I'd just become weirdly wealthy. Because you could buy a stoplight in one of the stores. And I really wanted to buy that stoplight. I never got the ability to do so. I was quite sad, but I know there are other people that had like other strategies that they'd pursued over the course of it, and their experience, you know, the characters and everything that they interacted with was just so different.
Yeah, because I know that game won like loads of awards. It was a pretty well-reviewed game.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll. Yeah.
It would be worth it eventually, if you've got time. It's not a short game, but it's not a particularly long one. I think I beat it in 20 to 30 hours, which, like, that's still pretty long, but
yeah,
compared to some games, that's not so bad.
I think the Outer Worlds I did in, like, 30 hours, or just shy of 30 hours, like, round about that time anyway. So that would make sense. Yeah. I don't know, though. Narrative games.
So many of them have so much potential and could be so good, and so many of them are just kind of humdrum.
Yeah.